You are standing in a side street in Catania. It is 10:54 in the morning. There is a man walking towards you. Blue suit, briefcase. He's looking at the ground in front of him, thinking about something else entirely. His footsteps echo off the stone walls. He has a wife. You know this from 5 days of surveillance. He has 2 daughters. He takes the same lunch every Thursday to a park 3 blocks from his office and eats alone on the same bench. He has no idea you exist. He's 8 meters away when he looks up. He sees you. He starts to look away. Then something makes him look back. He stops walking. You close the 4 meters between you. 11 seconds. That is all it takes to end a man's life. 11 seconds. Less time than it takes to read a text message. Less time than a traffic light. Then you are walking. Not running. Through a narrow passage and out onto a parallel street. Into a waiting car. Onto the A19 North. Gone. You are 26 years old. You will never be anything else now. 14 months ago, you had never done anything like this in your life. You didn't know what you were capable of. That was the last thing you knew for certain. Here's how it happened. Level 1. The Errand Boy. Level 1. Errand Boy. Weekly income, 200 euros. Risk. 5 years in Uchiardone prison if you slip up. The rule is absolute. Omertà. You break it once, and the Famiglia finds you before the police do. You don't apply for this. You get handed it. Your uncle borrows money from the wrong people. A significant amount. 2 men come to your apartment on a Thursday evening. They sit at your kitchen table without being asked. They explain the number. They explain what happens to your uncle and to your family if it doesn't get paid. Then they explain there is one way to clear it. You work for them. Not doing anything serious. Not yet. Your contact is a man named Enzo, 50s. Same brown jacket every time you see him. He hands you a cheap prepaid Nokia. The number changes every 2 weeks. You never use your real phone for anything connected to this. That is the first rule. He gives it once. The Nokia has 3 functions. Call Enzo to report. Receive locations. Destroy the SIM if anything feels wrong. You never send texts. Text the survive deletion. You memorize every address. Spoken to you over that phone and repeat. Nothing in writing. If you receive a call from any number that isn't Enzo's, you hang up, pull the SIM, snap it, and drop the handset in a drain. You find a payphone within the hour and call Enzo to report the contact. That is the protocol. It never changes. Your job is delivering envelopes. You pick up from addresses in the Cosa district. You carry them across Palermo to another address. You hand the envelope to whoever opens the door. You walk away. You don't look inside. You don't ask questions. You don't repeat the same route twice in 1 week. The envelopes are pizzo. Protection payments collected from businesses in family territory. You figure this out by the 3rd week. You don't say it out loud to anyone. The amounts aren't random. A small tabacchi on a side street pays 200 euros a month. A mid-sized trattoria pays 500. A restaurant with outdoor seating. A full bar and a wine list pays 200 or more. The Familia calculates it by visible revenue. Tables, staff headcount. Whether there's a loading entrance for serious stock. The number is set high. Enough to hurt slightly, but never high enough to close the business. A closed business pays nothing. The pizzo is designed to last forever, and it does. You earn 200 euros. Cash. Under your doormat every Monday morning. 6 weeks in, something goes wrong. You're crossing the Piazza Vitliana with an envelope when a police officer steps directly into your path. Young. He's not walking past. He's looking at you. He asks where you're going. You say you're visiting a friend. He asks the name. You give him one. He writes it in a small notebook. Then he looks at the envelope. You tell him it's a birthday card. He stares at you for 4 seconds. He nods and walks away. You don't run. You walk the remaining 6 blocks at the exact same speed. You deliver the envelope. You go home. You sit on the edge of your bed for 20 minutes without moving. You expected to feel something specific. Fear maybe, or guilt. What you actually feel is a strange, flat calm. Like the moment after a car almost hits you. Your hands are steady. That surprises you. When Enzo visits 2 days later, you tell him everything. The officer's description. The location. Every word exchanged. Enzo asks you twice whether you panicked. You say no. He watches your face. He's satisfied. He tells you the officer has been noted by the Famiglia. You don't ask what that means. Inside the Cosa Nostra, there is one rule above all others. It is called Omertà, the code of silence. It is not complicated. You do not speak about this organization to anyone outside it. Not to police. Not to journalists. Not to your closest friend. Not to your mother. Not to a priest in a confessional box. You speak to no one. Men who break Omertà do not get second chances. That is the only thing Enzo tells you about it. He doesn't need to say more. After 3 months of deliveries, Enzo tells you you're moving up. Level 2, the driver. Level 2, the driver. Weekly income, 400 euros. This phase lasts anywhere from 6 months to a year. New risk, if the man in your backseat gets arrested. Your name is in the investigation, whether you like it or not. You drive people now. 1 burner phone, 1 contact. No name saved. When it rings, you answer. Pick up location and drop off. You show up on time, you drive, you leave. The car is always already waiting. Different one each time. Keys above the visor. You never use your own vehicle. Before your first pickup, Enzo walks you through the route protocols. Every run gets mapped twice. You drive it once alone the day before. Noting every camera position, every one-way street, every stretch of road where a tail could sit 3 cars back without being spotted. You identify 2 abort routes per journey. If either is compromised on the day, you take the second without hesitating. If both are gone, you call in and wait. You never improvise a third option on your own. Improvisation is how people get caught. You learn the signs of a tail, not the obvious ones. Not a police car directly behind you. That's easy. The subtle ones. The same vehicle appearing at 2 unconnected points on your route. Don't tick. You will do was. Even 20 minutes apart. A car that slows when you slow and doesn't pull around. A moped that hangs back further than a moped would normally hang back. If you think you have a tail, you don't accelerate. You don't change route suddenly. You take 1 slow, deliberate detour, something believable. A stop at a petrol station, a left turn into a residential street. If the vehicle follows, you have your answer. If it doesn't, you continue. You report it either way. The men you transport are soldati, soldiers of the familia. Some are caporegimes, section commanders who control specific territories across Palermo and the surrounding towns. You don't know their ranks at this stage. You only know their faces and the addresses they give you. One night you pick up a man from a restaurant near the port. Well-dressed, he gets in without looking at you. Halfway to the destination, he tells you to pull over on a side street. He gets out, walks around a corner. He's gone for 8 minutes. He comes back smelling of cigarette smoke. You drive the rest of the way and drop him off. You don't know what that was. You don't ask. 2 days later, Enzo meets you for coffee and asks about that night. Exact details. Time. Street. How long the man was outside. Whether he seemed agitated when he returned. You answer every question. You just passed a test you didn't know you were taking. You notice something about yourself in this period. The anxiety you felt during the first weeks. The tightness before a pickup. The hyper-awareness on the street. It's fading. Not gone, just quieter. You're not sure that's good. Then, 2 months later, you make a mistake. You take a wrong turn in Pagliarelli and drive directly into a police checkpoint. 3 officers. You're third in line before you can do anything. The man in the back seat says nothing. His stillness fills the car. You roll down the window. Officer leans in. Asks for documents. Looks at the passenger. The passenger looks back. Nobody speaks. The officer checks the registration. Hands everything back. Waves you through. You complete the drive. Drop the man off. Before he closes the door, he says, without looking at you, different route next time. That's all. So when you report at the checkpoint to Enzo, he's quiet. Then, that man in your back seat is not someone you want to make uncomfortable. You don't ask who the man is. You study every route twice from that week forward. Level 3, the shadow. Income, 700 euros a week. Risk. You are now close enough to real targets. That being made, identified by police, or arrival has serious consequences. Not arrest, consequences, the rule. You are never seen near a target more than once, ever. A man named Sartori meets you once. Back room of a closed restaurant in Mondello on a Tuesday afternoon. He eats while he talks. He doesn't shake your hand when you arrive or when you leave. Your new job is surveillance. A target. A man who works at a shipping company near the port. 3 weeks. Full routine mapped. You don't approach him. You are not seen near him more than once. Everything into memory. Nothing onto paper or a phone. Different clothes each day. Not costumes. Subtle variations. A jacket one day, a different jacket the next. A hat, no hat. Reading glasses you don't need. The goal isn't to be unrecognizable. The goal is to be forgettable. Different. Enough each time that no one's brain connects the appearances into a pattern. You learn to eat and drink at the right pace for the environment. In a cafe full of office workers on lunch breaks, you eat at the speed of a man who has somewhere to be in 40 minutes. You don't nurse a single espresso for an hour. That gets you remembered. You check your phone the right number of times. Not constantly, not never. You look like everyone else. That is the entire technique. Week 2, something stops you cold. You're at a window seat across from the Target's office when a man sits down at the next table. Middle-aged. Newspaper. Coffee. Normal. Except you realize he has been in the same cafe as you on 3 separate days this week. Different table each time. Never acknowledging you. You finish your coffee. You leave at a normal pace. You take a long indirect route home, stopping twice to check reflections in shop windows. That evening you call Enzo's emergency number. You describe the man in the cafe. Physical description. Clothing. Which days, which tables. 48 hours of silence. Then Enzo calls back. The man is one of theirs. You were being watched to see whether you'd spot the surveillance. Whether you'd run or report correctly. You spotted it. You reported correctly. Sartori is pleased, Enzo says. You're pleased too. That's the part you file away quietly. You're not just relieved. You're proud. You caught something a trained operative tried to hide from you. Something in you has started, measuring itself against this world and wanting to win inside it. You complete the assignment. Sartori immediately gives you a second target. You also begin carrying a fixed blade knife now. Sartori doesn't order it. He simply tells you where to buy one without a record. And you understand what he's not saying. 6 months in, Sartori asks you directly whether you understand what the surveillance is being used for. You say yes. He asks if it's a problem. You say no. He tells you to come back Thursday. There's someone else you need to meet. Yo. Level 4, the apprentice. Income, 1,100 euros a week. Risk, you are now inside the operational structure of the Palermo Mafia. Your name, your real name, exists somewhere in a chain that reaches all the way to men you will never meet. If that chain breaks anywhere, investigators will follow it. The rule, you report everything upward, immediately, without filtering. You decide nothing on your own. His name is Greco. Plain clothes, 12-year-old Fiat. He could be running a hardware shop. He handles contract work for the Palermo Mafia. He takes you on for 6 months as an assistant. Logistics and preparation only. You scout locations, source clean vehicles, and report everything back to Greco verbally. Before any of this begins, Greco takes you to a private dinner at a house outside Bulgaria. 8 men at a long table. Old wine, good food. Nobody introduces themselves by their real function. You eat and you listen. At the end of the meal, the eldest man at the table, a man in his 70s in a dark suit, says a few words in Sicilian dialect. He looks at you. Greco leans over and translates quietly. You are a guest in this house. Conduct yourself accordingly. This is the closest thing to an initiation you receive. The Cosa Nostra reserves its formal rituals. The burning of the holy card, the oath, the blood, for men who have been fully vouched for by made members. You are not there yet, but you have been seen. You have been acknowledged. Inside the organization, that matters. Sourcing vehicles is its own skill. You never use a car dealership, a rental company, or anything with a paper trail. You find older vehicles, pre-2005, before automatic number plate recognition became standard across Sicilian roads. You source them from private sellers in cash transactions, or from contacts in junkyards who can supply a plate registered to a scrapped vehicle. The car needs to be unremarkable, mid-range, common color. The kind of car a traffic camera registers and dismisses in the same second. You check it for tracking devices before every use. Run your hand along the wheel arches. Check under the chassis with a small mirror Greco gives you. A clean car that turns out not to be clean is worse than no car at all. 3 months into the apprenticeship, you're sourcing a car in the Zen district when a man steps out of a doorway and blocks your path. 30-something, gold chain. He looks at you like he already knows something. He asks who you work for. You say logistics, import and export. He smiles. He hands you a folded piece of paper with a phone number on it. He says his organization is always looking for reliable people. You take the paper. You thank him. You walk away. You call Greco from a payphone within the hour. You describe the man, the doorway, every word exchanged. You read the phone number from the paper. Greco is quiet. Then he tells you that number belongs to a rival crew operating out of Palermo Centrale that the Familia has been tracking for months. He tells you to destroy the paper. He says, if you had hesitated even 1 hour before calling, This conversation would have gone very differently. You understand him exactly. 2 weeks later, you get arrested. Routine stop. A registration problem on the car you're driving that you didn't know about. 2 officers. Nothing on you. Clean record. 4 hours at the station. They let you go. You call Greco from a payphone. He listens, notes the officers in station, says the registration will be handled. Then 4 hours and nothing on your face. I heard. Someone at the station was watching how you sat while you waited. The 4 hours weren't difficult. You read a magazine they left on a bench. You drank the bad coffee they offered you. You were polite. You waited. At some point in the second hour, you realized you weren't performing calm. You actually were calm. That was the moment you understood something was genuinely different about who you were becoming. Yo. Interlude Sunday. Your mother calls on a Saturday afternoon. She asks if you're coming for Sunday lunch tomorrow. She says she's making pasta incasciata, the one your grandmother used to make. She says your uncle seems better. Lately. Calmer. She says she doesn't know what changed for him, but she's grateful. She says she's proud of you. She doesn't know exactly what you do, but she can tell you're working hard. She says you seem focused, serious. She says your father would have been proud too. You tell her you can't make it this weekend. Work. She says she understands. She says she'll save some for you in the freezer. The call lasts 4 minutes. After you hang up, you sit with the phone in your hand for a moment. You think about what she said. That you seem serious, focused. She reads it as maturity, as her son finding his way. Then you put the phone down and you don't think about it again. That is the part you never tell anyone. Not the jobs. Not the money. The part you never tell anyone is how easy it is to live 2 lives when you simply stop crossing them over in your own head. You keep them in separate rooms. You close the door on one when you're in the other. The door has been getting easier to close. Level 5. The cleaner. Your first real assignment is not what you imagined. You are a cleaner. You handle everything that happens after a job. Within 1 hour of an incident, retrieve whatever is left. Weapon, casing, clothing, vehicle. Remove it completely. Doubled latex gloves. Never park near the location. Walk the last 200 meters. You do this 7 times over 4 months. On the 5th job, you arrive at an address in Brancaccio and stop. Lights on in a building that should be empty. 2nd floor window. A shadow moving. You stand 30 meters from the door. You wait 4 minutes. You do not move toward the building. You walk back to the car. You drive 3 blocks. You call in. 19 minutes of silence. Then go in. A tenant in the adjacent unit came home early. Handled. Proceed. You go back. You complete the job in 6 minutes. You leave clean. The following week, Greco says, you waited. You didn't go in and you didn't run. That was correct. He says it once. The first night you sleep properly after a cleanup job, you notice it in the morning. 8 hours. No interruptions. You make coffee and you think, that's new. Then you think about what it means that it's new. Then you stop thinking about what it means. That stops happening around the 4th job. By the 7th, you sleep like you always did. Or like you think you always did. You can't fully remember anymore what it felt like before. You've been carrying a Beretta 92 for 2 months. Now, 9mm, 3 months of training at a private range outside. The city before you were ever handed it. Loading under stress, shooting from inside a vehicle. Non-dominant hand. You earn 2,500 euros a week. Then a neighbor almost undoes everything. She's in her 60s. She's lived across the hall from you for 3 years. She stops you in the doorway one evening and looks at you carefully. She says she's noticed you keeping strange hours, coming and going at night. She says, you've changed. You seem careful now. You tell her you work early warehouse shifts. You're tired. You apologize for any noise. She nods slowly. She doesn't look fully convinced. You move apartments within the month. Then Greco calls on the dedicated phone. A job, not cleaning. He asks if you're ready. Level 6, the contractor. Level 6, the contractor. Retainer, 8,000 euros a month. 20,000 euros per contract. Risk, life in a maximum security cell, or a shallow grave near Mount Etna. You are not told who ordered it. You are not told why. 3 things, a name, a photograph, a deadline. The target is a man in his late 40s. Legitimate import business in Catania. The photograph shows him leaving an office building in a blue suit, briefcase in hand. He looks ordinary. He looks like someone's father. He probably is. 12 days. You travel to Catania under a clean identity. Complete cover. License, credit history, registered address. You've carried it for 2 years without using it. 5 days of surveillance. You map his routine. You find 3 predictable moments in his day. You select one, a side street between his office and a parking structure 3 blocks east. He walks it every Tuesday and Thursday at 10:55. 4 minutes alone. One camera at the far end pointed towards the main road. It doesn't cover the middle section. A narrow passage between 2 buildings. Halfway down exits onto a parallel street where a clean car will be waiting. 2 days confirming. Walking the route. Timing it to the second. Memorizing every doorway, every window, every possible variable. On day 9, Greco approves the plan on the dedicated phone. Thursday morning. You eat breakfast slowly at a cafe near the hotel. You read the newspaper. Every article. You pay cash. You leave no reason for anyone to remember you. You walk to the side street at 10:40. 15 minutes. You enter from the eastern end. You stand in a recessed doorway in the middle section. The street is empty. A cat crosses at the far end. A window opens 2 floors above you, then closes again. 10:51. You check your watch. Your breathing is even. Your hands are still. 10:54. Footsteps on stone. The specific rhythm of a man not paying attention to where he's walking. A briefcase handle. He's not on his phone. He enters the street. He walks. 8 meters. He looks up. For a fraction of a second. The fraction. Every person spends before looking away. His eyes meet yours. Then he starts to look away. Normal. Automatic. Then he looks back. Something in the stillness of you. Something in the fact that you are not moving. Not checking a phone. Not doing anything a person standing in a doorway would normally be doing. He stops walking. 4 meters between you. His mouth opens. You close the 4 meters. The street is empty. The camera at the far end sees nothing. The window above stays closed. 11 seconds. Then you are moving through the passage. Walking pace. Out onto the parallel street. Into the car. Into traffic. A19 North. 9 minutes to the service station. Bathroom. Different jacket. Car wiped down inside and out. Left at the designated point outside the city. Bus into Palermo. Payphone near the central station. You give the clean code. You go home. You sit at the kitchen table. You eat the meal you cooked before you left. Reheated. You eat all of it. You wash the plate. You put it away. You sit back down. The apartment is completely quiet. Within the week, 15,000 euros moves into a clean account. Greco meets you one final time. He tells you the job was clean. Permanent contract with the Palermo Mafia. Monthly retainer of 8,000 euros. 15,000 per job. Full document and logistic support. The rules at this level. You are now, in the formal language of the Cosa Nostra, an uomo d'onore, a man of honor. The title is not given lightly. It means the Famiglia has vouched for you with its name. It means you operate under their protection. It also means that the Omertà you have kept since level 1 is now a lifelong obligation, not a rule. A permanent condition of your existence. You work exclusively for the Famiglia. You report any outside approach before the conversation ends. You live modestly. No visible money. No patterns. You keep a bag packed. Clothes, documents, 3,000 cash. Out in under 10 minutes if the call comes. Greco stands to leave. He straightens his jacket. He looks at you. He says, "You're good at this because you feel less than most people." He says it like it's a compliment. He leaves. You sit in the empty room. In the first days after the job, you thought about the man's face. The second look. The 4 meters. The 11 seconds. You replayed it, involuntarily. The way you'd replay a car accident or a bad fall. Your mind returning to it, processing. By the second week, you only thought about it when you tried to. By the end of the month, you had to make an effort to remember his face at all. You sit in the empty room, and you try now, deliberately, to bring it back. The blue suit, the briefcase, the way his mouth opened. You get fragments, pieces, nothing whole. The man had a wife, 2 daughters, a bench in a park where he ate lunch alone on Thursdays. You know these facts. You remember them the way you remember information. Correctly, cleanly, without weight. There is no grief attached to them anymore. There is no grief attached to anything anymore. And the most disturbing thing, the thing that sits at the bottom of all of it, is that you're not sure when that happened. You didn't feel it leave. There was no moment, no crossing of a line, just a slow, quiet, imperceptible adjustment. Like something that was always moving and one day simply stopped. You're 26 years old. You are very good at your job. You will never know if you would have chosen this. Because the man you were before you started, the one who might have answered that question, doesn't exist anymore.